Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. I was in my last high school football game, and after Josh Anthony broke the huddle, I looked up at the crowd. This year, we weren't going to make the playoffs, and we weren't going to win this game either. But the crowd didn't care. They were standing up for the last play of the season, which they knew would be the last one. I got chills as I stood in line for my slot back position. I got a clean start and ran as fast as I could down the field. After about 30 yards of running, I looked up and saw the ball coming at me in a spiral. It was lovely. I reached out and grabbed the football, but there was no one around. I caught the ball and ran the last 15 yards for a touchdown and the end of what many people say was the best career. My career, well, it just spoke for itself, and I don't mean to be too proud to say that. But now, everything was over. We lost this game by a score of 35-14, no playoffs, and I probably won't watch college football anymore. You want to know why? If I was such a good receiver, we wouldn't have lost. Not many big-time teams want a receiver who is only 5'1" tall and weighs only 104 pounds. I knew the end had come. I had a lot of fun in high school and did things that not everyone can do. When I looked out of the end zone, I saw my teammates smiling and cheering as they came toward me. It was weird, because they acted like we had just won the state championship instead of losing it. I looked up at the crowd and saw that they were standing up to cheer me on. I started to cry, and the love I felt on that field blew me away. Even the fans of the other team cheered for me. It was the best moment of my life, and I will always remember it that way. I did go to college in the state of Washington, a long way from home after I graduated from high school. I didn't go to Whitman College to play football. Instead, I went there to study computer design and programming. I did try out for the team, but I was cut from the group pretty quickly. This didn't bother me because it wasn't what drove me anymore. It was school. I missed my family and friends a lot during my first semester, but I knew I was getting a good education, which helped. Then everything changed. I went to a party off campus, which was something I never did, even when I was in high school. I cared too much about school to waste it by drinking and acting stupid. But a classmate of mine who, like me, was focused on school was throwing this party. I thought it would be better behaved. Was true. At the party, there were a lot of good people, and one person who would make a very strange change in my life. And as I walked in, I saw her. She couldn't be missed. When you're a woman and 6'3" tall, it's hard to fit in. A classmate of mine put us together. I'm not easy to scare, but this woman scared me a little. She was very big. I tried not to stutter, but I'm pretty sure I did. I found out that her name was Janet, and that she came from UCLA, where the women's basketball coach had tried for 2 years to get her to join the team. Janet told me she didn't like basketball, and that the only reason she was at UCLA was to learn. It sounds like the coach didn't take no very well and started to bother Janet, which led to her transfer. After the first few days of getting to know each other, Janet and I got along well. I had to agree that she was pretty. At one point, she said she had to go to the bathroom, and Tyler, who is also in my class, came over. He asked me, "She's different, huh?" I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. He still had more to say, though. "If you want, I can talk to her for you. Maybe about..." He stopped at that point because he didn't know if he should keep going or not. I gave him a nod to show that he should, in fact, keep going. He told me that she was in one of his classes and that they studied together. He would ask her what she thought about going out with me the next time he saw her. At the time, I was glad that he would help me in this way. I mean, I had girlfriends when I was in high school, but I think that was mostly because I played football. When I think about what he did, I don't know if I should thank him or hate him. The phone in my apartment rang 3 days later. I didn't live in a dorm. My parents saved for a long time so I could go to college. They didn't want me to be distracted by the dorm life, so they rented me an apartment. When I picked up the phone and heard Janet's voice, I was surprised. "How are you? Is this Brian?" "Yes." "Is this Janet?" Of course it was her. Who else would call my apartment? And we talked for the next 2 hours. At first, we talked about nothing. But then we talked about our families, our dreams, and anything else that came to mind. We said goodbye over the phone and agreed to talk again tomorrow. It was like that for a few weeks. Then I heard something from home that would change my whole life. It seems that my parents were driving home from lunch in the late afternoon when another car hit the side of their car. Even though the damage wasn't too bad, my dad lost control of his car because the roads were wet. They fell off a bridge and into a ravine where the car was completely destroyed. Mom and Dad both died at the same time. I told the school I'd be gone for a while, and they told me to take as much time as I needed. I then called Janet, and I think she was just as upset as I was. She asked if she could go home with me, but I said no. She told me to call her when I got to Pennsylvania, and I told her I would. I got home 12 hours later after taking the last flight from Seattle to Philadelphia via the Walla Walla Airport and SeaTac. We drove to my town after my cousin Brandy picked me up. I'm happy she did. I was too tired, both mentally and physically, to let myself drive. I ended up being sad for 10 days at home. I talked to Janet every day, which helped me get through my life. I missed my parents, but I knew that Janet was at least a friend, if not my soulmate. I would make it through. I thought about what my life would be like without my parents as Brandy drove me back to Philadelphia. I didn't worry about money because my parents had left me a lot of money and my name was the only one on their life insurance policy. I just knew that being all the way across the country by myself would be strange, but I wouldn't be by myself, right? Janet was there. She met me at SeaTac Airport, and we hugged like we hadn't seen each other in years, even though I had only been gone for 10 days. On the way back to Walla Walla, we talked about my parents, which was both good and sad. Sad because I missed my parents, but it felt good to get everything out. We spent most of the 4.5-hour trip just having fun with each other. She came to my apartment for the first time a few days later. I was surprised, but happy to see her here. I invited her over, and we ate dinner together and watched an old movie. We even talked about how much I missed my parents and how I wasn't ready for them to leave yet. Janet told me it would be okay and gave me comfort. It was a nice evening all around. Everything would change. The next day, Janet called me and asked if I wanted to come over to her house for dinner. I said yes and drove my car to her house on the edge of Walla Walla. It was a 2-story colonial house that looked a lot like my own house back home. I turned off my car, got out, and went up the front stairs. Janet met me at the door wearing a dress that I thought was a bit, how do I say this, motherly? It looked like something soccer moms might wear to the school play of their kids. Motherly, but nice. "Hello, Brian. Thanks for coming to my house." She told me to come in. I didn't know what was wrong, but something wasn't right. But alarms were going off in my head. I went with her to the living room and sat down on the couch. She went to the kitchen and came back with 2 Coca-Cola glasses. "So, Bree, I gave what you said yesterday about not being ready for your parents to leave, yet some thought. I agree that 20 is too young to lose your parents, so I thought I might be able to help you." Now, I didn't know what to say because I was so confused. I just looked at her like I didn't understand and took a sip of my drink. She gave me a warm smile, and once again I thought of Soccer Mom. It was the same smile a mother would give her child after he said something cute or funny. "Well, Brian, I think we can help each other out. I know you miss your mom, and I don't blame you for that, but you can show me what it's like to be a parent. I can be like a mother to you, and you can be like a mother to me." Now, I was completely and totally confused. About what did she talk? When I looked at her, she gave me that sweet smile again. I drank another gulp of my Coke because I was really thirsty. Look at it this way. You'll get a mother back in the form of me, and I'll get the chance to raise a child in the form of you. Do you get it? I didn't know why I nodded my head, but I did it anyway. I wanted to be Janet's friend, or maybe even her boyfriend, but I had to say yes to her because of something deep inside me made me feel loved. She smiled at me, and I gave her a yes. "Now that we know that, let's get everything set up. I need your wallet and car keys first." I gave them to her, again not knowing why. She put them in a clear plastic bag and then told me it was time to see my new room. She put out her hand, and I took it with my hand. She took me up to the 2nd floor and down the hall. She opened the door to a room that was clearly a girl's room. Boy bands on the wallpaper, and the carpet was pink. The bed against the wall had a canopy, and the bed sheets and covers were also pink. I felt like I had walked into the bedroom of a princess. Janet led me to the bed. I was too stunned to say anything, but I did hear what she said. As she took off my shoes, she said, "This is not a room for boys. This is a room that a little girl could live in, the little girl that you will grow up to be." By this time, my shoes and socks were off, and she had lifted me off the bed, which, because we were different sizes, wasn't too much of a stretch. "From now on, you are my cute daughter, Katie." I was starting to worry, but then that feeling of "this is okay" came over me again. Was this really what I wanted? She put all of my clothes in a black trash bag and tied them up. "Katie, you will not need these. Mommy's special girl gets to wear nicer clothes." She walked over to the dresser, which had a bunch of dolls lined up on it, stood in front of the big mirror. Then Janet said that it was almost time for bed, so she took out a nightgown for a girl. It was pink with long sleeves and a pink bow at the neck. Janet put it on me, and I put my arms through the sleeves. She let it fall, and it got to about where my knees and ankles meet. She then pulled my longish hair out of my neckline and undid the small elastic that was keeping it in a ponytail, letting my long hair fall down. Janet put me to sleep in the girl's bed. She told me, "Good night, Katie, and see you in the morning." I told her, "I love you too, Mommy." I don't know why, but it felt so good. How come I said that? Janet took the trash bag, turned around, and went to the door, where she turned off the light and shut the door. As I lay there, I started to cry a little bit. I have always wanted to be a girl, but never told anyone. I can't believe my dream has come true. And not only that, I have someone that loves me. I tossed and turned in bed for about an hour out of acceptance and enjoyment after Janet left before I finally fell asleep. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Patreon for a lot more content and early access to YouTube videos.